Hey guys, welcome back. So today on Modern Masters Auto, we are going to be building an intake manifold for a W211 E63. I want to show you the failure point and show you how to piece this back together and how to put the throttle bodies back in the new plate. So it's a simple video. It's not going to be nothing too crazy today. It's just to rebuild and to check out your M156 intake manifold if you happen to take it apart, because almost 90% of these are failing somewhere internally due to oil deteriorating the magnesium. So the plate we're using today is a thicker, stronger, full aluminum plate that has more resistance to this type of wearing. So without further ado, let's jump into it and let's get started. All right guys, so today we are working on this right here. This is your throttle body plate that goes inside your M156 intake manifold. So this is the new one. This is the all aluminum twin throttle body plate for the M156. We're gonna be pulling the throttle bodies off of this and putting them on this. I love the plastic velocity stacks. I feel like that adds significant power. And that's why I had VRP when we did the big throttle bodies. I was like, hey man, you should really make velocity stacks for the bigger throttle bodies. Is another thing that I really pushed for and they made for me. So that's, even if you get the big VRP throttle bodies in the VRP billet plate, you can get the billet velocity stacks, which is just a really good improvement for having big throttle bodies and still retaining the factoriness of the bonus that velocity stacks do for a throttle body. And there's so much testing that proves velocity stacks is not just a myth or something. It really works. Air funneling in, sciencey stuff happens, and then horsepower. So most of this you're gonna want T30 and a flathead screwdriver, preferably Snap-on in green. That's how we roll around here. And let's work on getting the velocity stacks off so we can see more of what's going on. Unplug your harness here, which I'll move you guys closer when I start undoing the bolts, but let's just pop these velocity stacks off ever so gently. You gotta remember, this is 20-year-old plastic, so you don't want to break it. You unclip your harnesses from it. So we'll pop these out. Actually, we'll wait to undo the throttle bodies and take this off. It'll just be easier. These connectors are kind of frozen on. I'm gonna get these pliers I like taking my hose pliers here, grabs it nice, and then that comes apart. That is, oh man, that's like keeping it, gosh, it's like staying in. So yeah, this is gonna be fun if it's this. There we go. Jesus. So I'll snap that back into place, and it's just deteriorating. You can't even like push it in. Yeah, no way, man. No way, Jose. So just a little bit of pressure just to put both these in and then try to wiggle it. I've never had one so stuck on. Both of these are just kind of brittle. Who would have thought? 20-year-old plastic. But this is why we work on these cars. There we go. These ones always break up top because they're just so fragile, but they're actually okay. Well, no, this one's, you can see it's like half missing here, but it's okay. It will be all right. I do a lot more 212-63s than I do 211-63s. So they're not as, and the C63s aren't really this bad. The 09s are, but the newer ones are usually in better shape. When we did Alex's car and Anthony's car, it's a totally different throttle body plate. It's a little bit stronger. It's like they figured it out on those. Man, look at that oil. How much oil is just on that bolt. And this is why it all gets worn and is in rough shape. So there's our throttle bodies. So I'm gonna flip them up like this. And I'm gonna take these out. Just check it. all that seems to be an okay shape. So I'm gonna set that to the side. I'm gonna take these metal gaskets off and clean them. I'm gonna clean these throttle bodies out. Now you don't want to really use anything but maybe like a small bit of a brake clean on a rag. You don't want to saturate it or anything, you can mess up the electronics. But just, we're gonna clean all this carbon out and make this nice for the customer. While you're in there, so we'll just hit it with a microfiber at first and see without any harmful chemicals how good we can make it. But that is a dirty bird in there, man. That you can see just wiping it away, just how dirty it was. We'll get our hand polished here. That, my friend, is a job well done. Plenty of it cleaned up. That's ready for reinstall. So I'll set that to the side and I'll do the other one. Didn't take much, just a little bit of elbow grease. I didn't even have to use brake clean or anything. Just a little bit of elbow grease. All right, that one is looking good. Boom, ka-chow. Looking good, done. Done and done. All right, let's start moving some stuff. Let's get this harness out and then I'll show you where it fully deteriorated through on this. We'll go ahead and directly move the harness over. And it fits in the new one just like it fit in the old one. Same. All right, guys, so with the wire harness out, you can see the failure right there. You see behind the wire, it's so thin right here, and that's where the oil deteriorates it and lets it fail. And that is just a common issue on these. Fails in other spots as well. Just where it thins out, where this harness is just rubbing and wearing. But you'll put your red Loctite on the threads, usually not that much. I'm just gonna, a little goes a long way. Put this in there, and this will help keep these from loosening up or backing out. And then you'll just press those tabs back down that go over the bolt head. And ta-da! There's your harness back in. All right, now we'll clean up these gaskets, wipe them off. I see no issue reusing these. They look to be in good shape. If this is a boosted application, I would probably say wouldn't hurt to put new ones in, but we are balling on a budget. All right. You'll put your throttle bodies back in. I'm gonna take these over to the grinder and clean all the threads, and then we'll put some Loctite on them. So I'll be back. All right, guys, so we got the vacuum lines put in. Just a dab of on the tip of the bolts here. So we're just using a little bit of red Loctite so nothing backs off and falls inside the intake manifold when under full throttle. It's a cold one here today, I'll tell you that. What's the temperature today, Sean?
Yeah, you know, it's in the 20s.
In the 20s. I'm not built for that weather. I am not. I will tell you that right now. And you just run them all down nice and slow. Get it all to the seat. And then we will torque all these down. We just ran it down nice and close to the end there. And you can go and plug in your throttle bodies. And this all lays in so nice. So way better than the old and busted. Way better, way better. So it goes like this, with this little tab down here on this corner. And it comes with this gasket. How nice is that? This is a really good throttle body plate kit. And I believe this throttle body plate is like $400, $450 online. So with shipping and all that, it is a good deal because all these have failed. And if yours hasn't failed, Man, take that intake manifold off, clean it out, pop one of these in a catch can, and just keep yourself from having this issue. These cars run lean, you're not even really noticing because the car's adding fueling and stuff when it's just a small issue and it's still enough for the ECU to calculate for. And that's just gonna slowly affect your engine performance, the lean condition, it's just a little bit will start messing with those rings, make the engine unhealthy. So look at that, that is beautiful, man. All right, let me get the old torque wrench out. All right, guys, so it's 7 foot-pounds is what we're going to torque the throttle bodies to. I got my 3/8 drive, snappy. Guess I left these looser than I thought. Here we go. Oh, my stainless steel tables aren't good for filming like this, so bear with me. Using my arts and crafts table, because I do arts and crafts here on the weekends. Actually, I could kind of with my kids. That wouldn't be a bad idea to bring my children here and let them do arts and crafts here so they don't destroy the house and it'd be easier to clean up. It's not a bad idea. Maybe I'll have arts and crafts nights for all my techs and my kids. My techs kids, not my techs and my kids, my techs children and my children. So, and then we'll just go back through and just make sure they're all good. And this is just an amazing, and I love these. I've been using these with everything. These grip edge torque sockets, they are so nice. Thank God it's ratcheting. All right, so they're all torqued, looking good. And that is what the backside will look like once you're completed. You can see the gaskets completely in there. These are where they're supposed to be. And that is a completed throttle body plate minus our velocity stacks, which is like, the icing on the cake. Go ahead and clip these down in, and these also hold our wiring harness. So pop them in. My lungs just hurt. I'm getting over the flu. All right, that is beautiful. Ta-da! Amazing. All right, let's bring the manifold over. Check that out. All right, guys, so I have the lower pans here to the intake manifold. I will show you in a minute where it goes, but this is the lower portion. The intake air temperature sensor goes here, and then the vacuum line from the throttle bodies come out of these holes right here. And this one had another failure point. This hose right here that goes in like this was cracked right here. And look at that, that's a severe leak also. So I luckily had this spare, I think this was out of my car before we did the supercharger, but this spare lower one, I'm gonna help this customer out like I do every customer. I have to rob myself to get their stuff as best as I can. And other failure points, so we had this hose fail, and then we had this failure right here. The gasket started to get worn below it, and you can see it's just messed up there. Yeah, it's just deteriorating. You see all the magnesium deteriorating inside this. It's just in rough shape. 200,000 miles to do that. And with how much oil was in this manifold, this one's in a lot better shape. You can see it's just a really nice piece. My car had maybe 80,000 miles on it when I put the blower on. Now it's at 104. But yeah, so in these gaskets, let me show you the gasket. So this like molded gasket that's in here, which would be this piece right here, I took it out of this one. They're just in terrible shape. I feel like putting the silicone sealer in it, since it has this nice gully, will just seal up nicely. We're not gonna open this manifold back up for hopefully another 10 years. So sealing it down like that will be totally fine, and it'll seal up really good against the intake manifold. We seal oil pans like that. We seal the parts of the superchargers. So I think this would be a good spot. And then instead of this sitting in here just deteriorating, we're putting fresh sealant in. It's gonna seal good. 2 pieces of the intake manifold, split that sealant anyway, so it's not gonna hurt anything. But yeah, so this is the lower pan. Let me show you the intake manifold. All right, so this is his intake manifold that we just built the throttle bodies for. This is another one just for demonstration purposes of how it looks with the throttle body housing in. And you can just see all the oil and everything on every single one of these. I mean, I started cleaning up his. I'm gonna clean it up a little bit better, but as you can see, they're just really just oil soaked on all of them. And if you really get down in there, you can see just how they all look. It's every single one I've ever done. They all look like that. We'll be taking the fuel rail off his later to put on the bigger injectors and all that for flex fuel, but we're just buttoning up the intake manifold today. You know, you work on a lot of AMGs when you got stockpiles of stuff just to show for demonstration. I should do a school. Like if you want to work on AMGs or specialize in them, have the experience, because I keep training people and then, you know, they don't work out or whatever, but I should get paid to train people versus just doing it for no reason, for them to go off and be tractor trailer drivers or something else because they realize, oh wow, it's a little bit harder. And it looks like the customer had whoever resealed this before. You can see the silicone. These are factory silicone, but the factory does not leave gobs out like that. It won't hurt anything, but just notice that it's not factory sealed. This intake manifold has been opened up and resealed. Somebody has been in here. So I think he did say something about that to me. Air compressor is running extra loud today because it is so cold. Feel bad that they're out in the cold, but what can you do? You can't heat everything. You can see down in there, there is some oily pieces down in there. So we're gonna let that kind of break it up, and then I will clean that out. Now, there is a more detailed fix to this where we open this back up. It's been resealed already, so I'm not worried about this one, but we do like to open these fully back up ourselves, min out every part of it. But that is very labor intensive and that is a costly job. I mean, you're gonna spend $1,000 or more getting this fully taken apart, everything checked, cleaned out, and the parts cleaner, and then resealed back up. Because that's about a day and a half to really do all that. Lots of work. But you're gonna set your throttle body plate into the intake manifold end, just like that, seated nice and snug. And then leave this out. Don't hook it back up yet. Don't hook this up. We'll clean the end of this. So that goes in the rubber home. Everything seems to be good where it should be. And then we'll start working on bolting down this plate. So this is the magnesium locking plate for it. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the hardware to get this set down. So when you put this locking plate in, 2 of them, the bolts down here, are exposed. The rest are shielded by the cover, so they can't back out and fall in, but these 2 could. So these 2 individual ones get these metal locking retainers. So they go right there. And we're gonna throw a little bit of Loctite on just those 2, just as that extra security. It's not gonna hurt anything. And it's these 2 right here. So that started. And then we'll go around and just place all these in. And I already had taken this apart to look at everything so the customer knew what he was in for. So I'm sorry I didn't get that on video, but if you just watch this video in reverse, you'll be able to figure it out. And just start them all by hand. I'm gonna go crazy on these. If I kept an NA car, what I would do is take this fully apart and buff it, polish it, you know, get all the imperfections off of it, and then ceramic coat all of it. I think that would really strengthen the magnesium up, is to get all the pores out of it and get it ceramic coated. But then you're gonna spend, you know, significant money doing that. But it'd be worth it. Like, this was my only NA car. I would do it, but not after, like, I mean, this customer, this one, for example, and almost all my customers, we're doing cams, tappets, motor mounts, long tubes, all this stuff. So adding another $3 grand to min out a manifold is just not in the budget. But you know, who's to say after he recovers from doing the head studs and cams and all of that. Actually, I'm gonna loosen those two. I snugged up a little bit because I'm gonna torque all these down. All right, guys, then you want to torque these down to 7 foot-pounds. And then you'll just beat these down. Okay, that is good right there. So now I have the bed plate. All right, guys. This IAT sensor even looks better than his, so we're good there. And I'm just going to go around this like a choo-choo train. Chugga, 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 choo-choo. And I like to do this like a day or two before we put it on the car, just so it sets up. Man, I am a firm believer that if you let this stuff set up, you will never have a problem out of it. But it also takes prep work. Like, I've thoroughly cleaned this gully out that I'm putting the silicone in last night before I left, so it was ready for today. And there's your finished product, guys. That's what you want to see. I wish they made a gasket. Maybe I should talk to VRP about making a gasket, just so it's a little bit less time consuming to do all this and less prep work, all that stuff, but we'll see. It's a shame that, you know, we're working so hard to get this stuff to do the job, but also we have to invent the parts to do the job. So I'm gonna let this sit up. I'm gonna let it sit on here for about 5 minutes, just so it starts to like really get in there and mold before I push it down and bolt it to the intake manifold. All right, guys, so you're gonna take your throttle body wires and put them in through here. And you gotta be really, really cautious. If you can get 2 people, it would be a lot easier. And then you gotta pull this forward. And this is always the pain. So you got to hold this up, get this on the back side, get this throttle body harness through. That's funny. All right. And then, guys, you'll just put this on here. I got that to line up like a glove, and you'll make sure that gets pushed in there. But yeah, drop it down on. Once it's fully flush, you'll push it down and pop this up, and that will like hold this wire harness or throttle body, will hold it in place, and push that down. And you want to make sure it's fully sealed there, and it does look good. I can see the silicone touching everywhere and coming out. Then once we torque it down, you'll go through and just make sure all of the mating surface, there's silicone covering all of it. But I would use 2 people for that, just to make it easier, especially if you've never done it before, because getting that hose lined up and getting this pushed through is a little bit of a pain. And now before I put this on, I forgot to show this. I took a rag, put some brake clean on, and cleaned the surface where this was touching and let it dry, so we'll make a good contact. And while we have the manifold on the table, I'm going to go ahead and install the VRP catch can fittings that go into the back of the intake manifold, so you can see how that's done. And so we don't have to do it on the car. It'd be nice to do it right here. All right, guys, and just go through this 7 foot-pounds just to make sure they're all torqued symmetrically. I'm crisscrossing to seat it all. Yep, she's fully sealed, looking good. And that's it, guys. That's it for this lower plate. Now we can flip this up. I'm gonna pull that hose in just a little bit more snug. Handy dandy hose pliers. Oh yeah, that's way tighter. Cool. And you can see that hose down right here. I pulled it in a little bit tighter even. So that took care of that. All right, guys, so you have the back side of the manifold here, and we have the VRP oil catch can kit. These are the adapters. So for the back, you'll need this adapter here, and the clamshell clamp looking thing. So this is the M156 PCV valve. This is an old used one. It clamps onto the backside of the engine, and then this PCV portion goes inside of the M156 intake manifold right there. And essentially you're replacing this part with this, and it goes from the fitting in there to AN to run to a catch can, and then from the catch can you hook back up to this, and it goes back into the engine PCV side. So you'll take these provided parts, this, and your new bolt grease. But this is going to go in here like so, and this little clip comes in, locks in, and then it's going to bolt it down. And I'm going to leave it a little loose, so once it's in the car we can maneuver it which angle is best. But let me find my dielectric grease. Howdy ho! Howdy ho! Bada bing, bada boom. Dielectric grease. So I like to put just a little bit on my O-rings there. Lubricate them all the way around. Clamshell piece in. Get this going. Actually, I'm going to take the 10, draw this in a little bit. All right, with a little bit of pressure there. These are always tight to go in. Now put the new bolt in. She's a little tighter. And you'll just run that into the bottoms out like so. And then just to show you, you'll have a hose go from here to the catch can, and you'll take the PCV valve, you'll hook this fitting to it, it'll bolt down. We're not using this PCV thing, it's just showing you guys. And then this will go on here, and it'll clip under the motor like so, kind of like that. And you'll have one hose, this hose going to the catch can, coming back from the catch can, and then it will be perfect. And that is how it goes. So there you have it. That is what all that looks like and what it will be like. And now this is going to need moved and adjusted. I just have it on there for display purposes. I am also about to put fuel injectors in this rail, and then we're going to put it on the car. But I'm not doing that till tomorrow because I have to get a fitting for the back of this. The one that was on this was like this, and it's duct taped, so I gotta figure out what's going on with that. Unduct tape this. They probably broke it, or maybe it was getting loose and plopping out, but I'm gonna fix all this. I'll put some clamps on it if I got to. Put some factory style clamps on her. I believe it's this hose right here that goes in this portion right here, and then there's a fitting under here that needs put back in this manifold, and that's what hooks all this together. But I will mint that portion out later, right before we get it on the car. I got to take this fuel rail off and all that stuff, so I don't really want to make this permanent just yet. And then the rubber hose that goes down here that goes to the throttle bodies is this hose right here. It gets popped in, tight fit. Just lubricate this. So I'll put a little bit of dielectric grease on that. Lift this manifold up. Oh yeah, like a glove. So that is how that fits, and that comes up and hooks into, I believe this is the brake booster line, or it goes to the purge valve. Probably the purge valve. And that's all, folks. That's your intake manifold put back together. All right, guys, and this is the car getting the manifold as VRP long tubes, VRP cams, and flex fuel kit, and a bunch of other little things. We did brakes on it. We did VRP head studs, and we put these long tubes in, and we put in an X pipe, and it goes all the way back here, all stainless. And this exhaust looks just phenomenal with the ceramic coated black VRP long tubes. And that wraps up everything I want to do on video for this car. I'm going to throw in the bigger injectors, put the intake manifold on, the flex fuel kit, the catch can, and then fluids and fire this bad boy up. I already put the base tune on the ECU, so she'll be ready to go. All right, guys, that wraps up today's video. I hope you enjoyed seeing me assemble the throttle body plate and put that in the intake manifold. It's just, you know, I wanted to help people out because I hear a lot of questions and concerns about doing that process. So now you know how to do that. You've seen it happen. So if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and make sure you guys subscribe. Turn on that icon so you can get notifications when our next video comes out. We are doing weekly videos again. And I keep you guys updated on cool shorts as much as I possibly can. There's more, I take about freaking 100 a day, and I post 2 or 3, as many as I can. So yeah, they're not always like when we're doing them, but I try to post so you guys have a little bit of content to watch of cool AMG and automotive content. But again, if you like the video, give it a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, subscribe, and I will see all of you on the next one. What if God was one of us? God damn it. Let me shoot this intro real quick. Am I good? That's mine. What are you doing?
No, I'm saying it was just sitting here like this.
I know, I just put it there. I'm using it.
With the bit?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm working on an intake manifold. And that wraps up today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked this video, give it a big thumbs up. I'm actually gonna wait for the air compressor to turn off because I forget how loud that is. Your M156 intake manifold. And I'm just checking to make sure my height, like I'm in frame. So let me check that.